Here we go. Here we go, brownies. The kids cardiac, catch me in the Muni where the party at. Dog pound, turn up with the elf up on my starter cap. Brought him back, boy we from the land and we proud of that. Louder man, front to the back, here we go, I got him shouting that. Here we go, brownies. Here we go. Here we go, brownies. Here we go, brownies. Stand up. Here we go, brownies. Let's go. Game on the line, Joe Thomas, I promise. Jim Brown running through opponents, how I got this. I return like Josh Cripps, paying for the mini, got the dog pound jumping. Here we go, brownies. Here we go. Here we go, brownies. Here we go, brownies. Stand up. Here we go, brownies. Let's go.
Cleveland, this is for you.
Here we go, Brownies Nations. We are here at Lorello Vineyards in Geneva, Ohio with Larry Lorello, the owner and founder of the winery, talking about the sparkling wine.
Yeah, so we have 3 wines that are sparkling here at Lorello Vineyards. We've got our Mia, which is Chardonnay and Pinot Noir blend. It's a brut wine, so it's dry. We have the Loving Linda, which is a Pinot Noir Rosé. So same Pinot Noir that's in that, but got some skin color to it. So it's got some color, but it's also dry. And then the last is Dolce Ida, which is named after my mother. And it's Muscat and Riesling with a touch of sweetness. It's going to be a real crowd pleaser.
So here we go, Brownies. Make the drive out to Lorello Vineyards, less than an hour from downtown Cleveland. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go. Woof, woof.
Experience a beautiful Cleveland sightseeing cruise aboard the Good Time 3 and enjoy the most spectacular views of downtown Cleveland as we cruise the Cuyahoga River and the Cleveland lakefront. Book online today and don't miss the boat.
I know that choosing a realtor is a big decision, especially in a market like Cleveland. Hi, I'm Crystal John Toney with eXp Realty, and I grew up right here. I know these neighborhoods, the values, and where the real opportunities are. Whether you're buying your first home, upgrading, or investing, I'm here to guide you every step of the way and make sure that you don't leave money on the table. Let's make your next move a smart one.
Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of the Here We Go Brownies podcast. I'm Allie Ellery, coming at you live from Pensacola, Florida. And joined with me, as always, out in Cleveland, we've got Dustin. Dustin, how are you?
You know, living life. Birthdays, when you get to a certain age, you just don't want them to happen. But a birthday coming up this weekend, so that should be fun. But a little humid here, but I can't complain because I know what Pensacola, Florida is like. It's not even comparable to Cleveland, Ohio. Humidity. It's been good. Weather's been great here. It's been enjoyable. We're on LeBron watch 24/7 to see if he chooses to come back home or not. And Jose Ramirez can't get here quick enough back after the All-Star break for these Cleveland Guardians. This team definitely needs some offensive firepower.
Yeah, to say the least. Have not been able to get much going other than Chase DeLauder, who has been
we love DeLauder. We love DeLauder. And I tell you what, he's become a fan favorite. I don't know if you've seen that the entire stadium sings Country Home, Country Roads, like when he goes up to bat. It is a real thing. And he's really easy to like. He's a good kid. He's awesome. He's a fan favorite already. So people were already making DeLauder jerseys when he went on that crazy, beginning of the season when he went nuts.
That's nuts.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, and of course we joked about it, today at my job, like the Guardians, and we love our Cavs, but this is still a Browns town. We still talk about Browns even in the summertime, 94% of the time, even though there's 2 other pro teams. So it is a football town. And, that's why we do a podcast, right?
That's why we do the Here We Go Brownies podcast. They always give us something to talk about. So last week, if you joined us, it was pretty much a dead period, really nothing to talk about. Kind of the same thing this week. We've got a little bit of Browns news that we'll brief you on. We'll bring David on here in a moment to talk about that. But otherwise, still nothing. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Kind of gives us a breather to do some of these fun segments. That's always kind of fun. Take a little break. And, of course, the guys are getting ready for training camp. That's upcoming. And that'll be here before you know it, which is kind of crazy to think that we are really kind of knocking on the door of getting things up and running, Dustin. Just not that far off from week
Yeah.
one, if we're being honest. It's
60 some days from the start of the season. I think the rookies have to report next week. Is that right? If I'm
something
correct,
like that. Off the top of my head, I don't have it, but yeah, soon.
Yeah, and then the following week, I think the veterans have to show up. So yeah, it's coming quick and fast. And by the way, July seems to already be flying because we got 3 days off, and now we're almost in the middle of July. It's kind of crazy. I'm like, I don't like that because summers in Cleveland are about 4 months.
Yeah, that's all you get. No, I hear you. It's crazy how often we say this, that sometimes it feels like time really slows down in the football season and it's just dragging on, like around the combine. It's like, oh my God, can we just get to the draft? And then there's times in the middle of the summer that you're like, oh my God, it's really sneaking up on us. So it's fast and slow. It's crazy how it goes. It comes in waves. But of course, we'll keep you posted on any and all Browns related news. Not much to talk about today, but we're going to bring David on here in a moment and talk about this specifically. Can anyone do long division and figure out the actual amount that Browns get back in credits for Deshaun Watson's insurance policy? Angel, I got to tell you, it's so confusing. I'm going to bring David on. He's our math guy. He's our smart guy.
Well, as I say, now he's going to dissect.
Yes, which it's very confusing because let's bring David on. Let's start there. Real quick before we do so, just want to tell you about our good friends over at Stadium Mustard. Yes, if you don't have Stadium Mustard in your kitchen this season, you are doing it wrong. The iconic brand, the iconic taste, flow from ballparks to backyards and everywhere in between. Stadium Mustard is a smooth brown mustard rich in both taste and tradition, and it's loved by millions. So be sure to head on over to stadiummustard.com to shop now.
And 20% off brownies anytime, anywhere at stadiummustard.com. Use that code brownies.
There you go. All right, Dr. David Ullery. Hi, David.
Hi, Holly. Hi, Dustin.
What's
David,
happening?
how are you?
I'm great. How are you, Dustin? How are you, Allie? I know how you are, Allie.
Well, as I say, you know how Allie is, because you live with her 24/7. Yeah, David. This whole I'm excited. Like you get to dissect people's injuries. Now you get to dissect and be the capologist.
Yeah, there you go. So we've got a question here, like what is actually happening? And I mean, yes.
There are two different variances, yes.
So what is it?
That let me kind of lay the groundwork just to get some foundational things for everybody. So what we know is that back in 2023, when the Browns restructured Deshaun Watson's contract, they essentially bought an insurance policy on the guaranteed money. Well, how much was the guaranteed money? The whole thing, as we know. It was a 5-year deal for $230 million fully guaranteed. And so the insurance policy was essentially that it stated if the player can't play because of injury, the insurance company reimburses part of that guaranteed salary. And so it came out last week in a report from Mike Florio that the NFLPA had some cap documents that were released that showed a total of $88.8 million of cash kind of coming back to the Browns from 2024 through 2029. And so that's where this huge number came from. And everyone's thinking oh my gosh, Browns are getting back $88 million. Does that go to the cap? Where does this money actually go? Where does it come from? And so trying to understand it better and break it down, that is far and away not the reality and as simple as this can be. Because if so, I mean, you think about it, that's a third of his contract that they're getting back. And every team would be doing this if it came back as cap credits because players get injured all the time. And so it would just, behoove teams to actually take out insurance on everybody. But that's not the case and not what happens. And so what the numbers really kind of reflect are probably a number of things, including cap accounting adjustments, signing bonus reallocations, and valuation changes after the insurance reimbursement. So it's crazy, but I mean, when the insurance reimbursement comes through, the value of that guaranteed money and the upfront money that Deshaun got does change. I don't know how. There's so many financials behind it, but so kind of making it a little bit more, I guess, making a little bit more sense of it. Let's say for this season, Deshaun had a $35 million cap hit and insurance reimbursed the Browns $25 million. That doesn't mean the cap hit automatically becomes $10 million. That does not happen to where there's more cap space. And now the Browns can go sign somebody else. No, that's not really what it works like. Essentially, this cash coming back is more like ownership cash. And it's kind of going more towards Jimmy Haslam than it is towards the team in the sense that there's going to be more cash flexibility, maybe a greater willingness to spend in free agency or less hesitation guaranteeing future contracts. And so for second deals and things like that, this could play a role because there's going to be a little bit more flexibility down the road. but it doesn't really open up things in the cap immediately right here. And so another way to look at it, kind of an analogy that made more sense in my brain, is when you think about an insurance policy that any of us take out, whether it's on a car, on the home, on the TV, our insurance policies, they don't raise our credit limit. We don't automatically have more credit to go purchase more money by that. We're being reimbursed for a purchase we already made. And so if we look at credit as the cap being your credit limit, the insurance policy isn't allowing you more cap space. It's just giving you money back, but you still have to account for Deshaun's contract. His contract still exists, and you still have to pay that amount. It's just that money is more or less going more towards the Browns organization as a whole than it is to the cap space itself. And so not only is the $88 million not truly all just going back towards cap, it's probably not that much money anyway. It's probably less than half of that when it comes down to differences and valuations and adjustments. And this still doesn't make a ton of sense totally, but essentially the kind of fine points are the Browns recovered a lot of cash through this insurance, and there's cap accounting adjustments that may be related to reimbursement where they get a little bit of wiggle room in the cap, but it's not $88 million back to the salary cap is the bottom line.
So is this correct that it's spread out through 2029?
Yeah. So, I mean, the files that Florio found range like every year from 2024 through 2029. So it wouldn't be just a one lump sum anyway. It's spread out over years, and it's not going to be $8 million towards the cap each year. It might be maybe one or two in flexibility.
So, I mean, realistically speaking, this does not really impact us fans in any capacity. It's just benefiting the pockets of Jimmy Haslam, which I don't care about. I mean, sure, yes, it's great that they had this kind of buffer, if you will, from really just a financial standpoint, making sure that they're making decent enough decisions, which I think this was a terrible decision from the start, but nonetheless, kind of having some insurances here and there. But overall, this doesn't really mean much to the fan. They're not going to go out and be able to do a lot with this, right?
No, because I mean, you can't say, oh, we have all this money, now let's just cut him and this will make up for the dead money. It doesn't work that way because it is spread out over 5 or 6 seasons. And it also doesn't change the fact that Deshaun is competing and has a chance to start this season. So whether you want him on the team or not, whether you want him to compete for a starting job or not, this does not impact your fandom of this team for this season or really next season. And that's kind of the bottom line is we're not going to see really a big impact of this from our day-to-day lives or our week-to-week lives during the season.
Dave, let me ask you this, because you said it doesn't really affect the cap, quote unquote, itself. Can this money then, from your research, and you were talking about with flexibility, is this more like player bonuses? Can that be used towards that kind of stuff?
I think so. So for signing deals, player bonuses, incentives, things like that. And so it can certainly enrich some contracts for players and maybe, give an opportunity to extend someone or, sign someone to their fifth-year option or get them on their second contract after their rookie deal is coming to a close. Okay. And so it does have an organizational impact, just not a direct cap player money availability. Right.
That's what I say for all the extras that they try to give players, incentive bonuses or stuff like that. This would fall into that, but not in the cap number itself overall. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, not nearly as exciting as the initial headline portrayed last week, but still, I mean, interesting, some significance, and just another puzzle piece in the Deshaun Watson picture.
Okay, fun, love it. Listen, I sell insurance for a living full time. That's what I do. And I still don't understand. I do, but I don't. So this is really confusing. Happy to hear that there was a little bit of a buffer, but yeah, it doesn't impact the cap.
As I say, it took Allie explaining to me her job 2 or 3 times to understand exactly what she does on the insurance side and how it works.
Listen, I still don't even know what I do sometimes. I'm confused by insurance, even though I sell it. Okay, well, thank you, David. That kind of helps a little, and I'm sure that there will be more. We'll unpack that as we get that information. But for the time being, this is very helpful and informative because it is kind of a dangerous game to play, to run with that initial information, thinking as a fan, oh, wow, we're going to be able to, 1, cut him, or, without the cap ramifications, or 2, hell yeah, we can go get XYZ player right here, right now. And that's just not exactly how that's going to work. So appreciate that initial breakdown. So let's turn it over let's have a little fun on the show. Let's rank some position groups. I want to really get into the position group. I don't want to say like hang on. Let's start over because I want to be careful with how I phrase this, because I don't want to make it all doom and gloom and everything like that, because there's a lot of good with this team. But I will tell you, we are going to rank position groups right now, and this was a really hard thing to do. This was really, really difficult. Some good, some bad, some ugly. So let's get into that real quick. Dustin, why don't you tell our listeners about Prime Time? What do they got going on over there?
Guys, if you haven't been to Prime Time, they've been doing some great stuff. I know you and David are big fans of golf. They had John Daly down there last night doing an eBay Live signing. And they had Shooter McGavin there the next day. So they've done some great lives with eBay Live. So check their website out, Primetime 12, for some of those items. But they had John Daly in-house, and, of course, Shooter McGavin from, obviously, the famous movie from Tom. But, yeah, check them out. By the way, they've done a lot of recent signings with some Guardians and some other folks. So they got a lot of new stuff on their site. Yeah, Rojo, all these guys. Yeah. So, by the way, once they do those signings, about 3 to 5 days later, that stuff is on the website to purchase. So look for that stuff out there.
Get you some good stuff. I mean, David, look at our bare walls behind you. We've got to fill it out.
I think that's
only half full.
I think you need a Shooter McGavin thing in the back there. That would look good.
We've got some cool stuff in there, though, just from our collection of items. There's actually a store here in town, Dustin, that they have all sorts of sports memorabilia, all sorts of stuff. And it's really cool, but you have to kind of dig. Like, it's kind of like garage sale type, so you have to dig. And some things you have to verify, you want to authenticate on JSA, Beckett, or, whatever authentication is available. But for the most part, they've got some pretty cool stuff. We actually got a really cool Emmitt Smith signed poster. Fun fact, from Pensacola.
You found this from that store.
Yeah,
where does the Joe Thomas jersey, where does it reside in the house?
Currently, waiting to get framed. So that will be up soon. We have so many that we need to get framed. So David, maybe we need to call our good friends over at Prime Time. David, what are you looking at? You just turned your head over there?
He was admiring the wall. He was admiring the room.
Yeah, we got a nice 1993 Cleveland Indians pennant, which is pretty cool. The final stand, October 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, we've got some cool stuff. Adding to the collection. So check out our friends over at Prime Time. All right, let's get into ranking these. Now, I kind of hesitated at the start because I don't want to paint the picture like, wow, this team is worse than we thought or better than we thought. I really want to approach this with a pretty cool, calm, collected brain, kind of taking off our orange and brown glasses, but just trying to be a level-headed fan here. Sometimes it's hard to do. But I want to start with, we'll start with what we're most confident in, and then get down to position groups that we're the least confident in. So David, let's start with you. We'll go one by one. A lot of these probably might be similar. That's okay. Just want to get everybody's individual take on position groups. So David, let's start with your most confident. Who do you have number one?
Yeah, so this is kind of up to date current roster. My number one most confident group still remains the defensive line, even with the departure of Myles Garrett, because you throw in Jared Verse, and I think that you make up a lot of ground without having him here. And so overall, I think the front four, the starting four between Jared Verse, Mason Graham, Lake Collins, and then Alex Ritter, Isaiah McGuire, take your pick, I think is a really solid starting four that has a lot of experience at this point. And then you look at the guys behind them, and you've got still 2 or 3 good rotational pieces with, like I said, Isaiah McGuire, Mike Hall Jr., Julian Okwara, and who knows, like Aiden Huntington played a little bit of a role last year, Sam Kamara, maybe Logan Fano will surprise us. So I'm pretty confident, and I would say that, like, when you look at all the position groups, what I think is going to be the most reliable and productive this season is still going to be that defensive line, just based on who's on the roster and kind of where these pieces are fitting right now.
Yeah. Dustin, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. And for me, defensive line is the strength of this football team. It was last year. Yes, you're going to tail off from Myles Garrett leaving, but Jared Verse is a more than capable replacement and former Pro Bowler. And I think, yes, will there be some drop off, but not dramatic. And it's still the strength of this football team.
I agree. I also have them as my number one. There is a drop off, right? Of course, you're losing the sack leader and defensive player of the year. Of course, you're going to feel that impact, but what made this defensive line great wasn't just Myles Garrett. There were several other pieces that contributed to him having the season that he did last year. And then you plug Jared Verse into that. I still feel really good about it. Guys, I think that this is kind of far and away the most confident position group on this roster by far. All right, second up, Dustin, we'll start with you here.
I'm going to go with the defensive backs, with led by Denzel Ward and the rest of that group. They are the next strength behind the defensive line, and that's your second layer of defense, defending the pass. And if you look at folks like Tyson Campbell that we got in a trade last year, was another key piece to that. I think this unit's going to be strong again this year, and I think some of those younger guys are only going to get better. So this could actually, in some ways, I think, be a better unit coming coming from 2025 to 2026.
So we're probably gonna have a lot of the same answers. I'm sure. Now, you never know. Podcasting, it's weird. Sometimes somebody throws something egregious in there, but for the most part, I think we're gonna be fairly similar. I'm just gonna lump mine together like you did.
Yeah.
I actually had safety 2, corner 3. I'm gonna lump it together and just go defensive backs. Kind of the same thing that you explained. I think the addition of EMW to this already constructed secondary is pretty tough. Now, when I first came up with the segment idea, this was before free agency. So I kind of jotted some things down, and I actually had corner second, but that was before Martin Emerson Jr. left the team. So really, I swapped them. I put safety 2, corner 3. I think you can make some arguments here and there, but that's my roster construct right there. What about you, David? What do you think? Same thing?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think, for, rankings 1 and 2 or 1, 2, and 3, depending on how you split the DBs, I think across the board, like these are the top 3 position groups. And then after this, I think there's a pretty big drop off, and there's going to be a little bit more conversation, discussion, and moving pieces because lack of depth or just uncertainty at the position, or just, new faces that we haven't seen in the organization. And so I'm with you both completely. It's defensive backs here at 2. And I left mine, Allie, I left cornerbacks at 2, safeties at 3 for me, just because I still think there's some pretty good depth when you got 3 starters between Miles Harden, Tyson Campbell, and Denzel Ward. But certainly, like, the safety group is awesome too. And I think it's pretty much, interchangeable, but either way, DBs are next for me as well.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up, I think you're right. This is where it could get a little tricky. Dustin, where do you have at your next spot? Put it at
strength running backs. And I think Todd Monken and his offense is going to do an amazing job with Monken and Dylan Sampson. I think that's going to be a pretty explosive possible group this year with what Todd Monken does with his offense. And so I look at this as, I think, based on everything, Quinshon looks like he's ready to go from his injury. I don't think there's going to be any issues. So I'm excited to see where this group can go. And I do know this, a 1-2 punch Cleveland Browns running back room has been the strength of this football team. And I can go back to the 80s when you had Browns teams where you had 2 players. And what I mean by this, one guy doesn't have to be the hero, but 2 guys at 1,000 yards each. That's dangerous, because when you got 2 guys that are 1,000-yard running, like, you don't know if you got who's going to hit you in a game, A or B. So if we can get to that level, like we've had in the past with Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, if you look at those guys where, Nick Chubb was only a few hundred more yards and 900 and some to 1,000, Kareem Hunt was right behind him. So if we can get back to that kind of dynamic running back room, this is going to be a fun unit to watch.
David, what do you think? I personally have running backs lower. And the reason isn't, I agree. I mean, that is, I think, going to be a focal point for this team. This is what Todd Monken wants to do. However, I have concerns with the depth. Now, when we look at this, Quinshon last year, of course, we know he got hurt, but he had 230 carries for 827, 7 touchdowns. He was averaging 3.6 a pop. Now, a lot of that a reflection of the offensive line. We know the struggles with this team. But my concern comes with the depth outside of Quinshon. Now, I like Dylan Sampson. I'm curious to see how he'll be used this year. But if we look at what happened last year, 65 carries for 175. Just didn't have the same production. I think we can probably speculate and try to get to that point where I'm not comfortable saying we're going to have 2,000-yard rushers. I don't think that's where we'll be. right here, right now. But I have a little bit of concern with the depth and also Quinshon coming back from injury. Now, that's pretty small, small concern. I think he'll be just fine, but I still am a little bit nervous about it. So I have them a little bit lower. David, where are you at with this?
So I initially, when I first made these, I wanted to put running backs there, Dustin, because I like the top of the room, but I agree. Just the depth has me a little bit worried. So I've got them kind of next level. My next group, or if we would just stick with running backs first, I have them kind of probably 5. If we went, 1 defensive line, 2 and 3 defensive backs, 4 is our next spot. I have running backs drop down to 5 just because of the depth issue there. I want to have them at 4. I want to have the most confidence in them. And I think if Quinshon stays healthy like he did throughout college and can do 200 carries, no problem, and Dylan Sampson proves to be a more than serviceable backup to kind of like relieve him, I think that confidence will jump. But we need to see a little bit more game action before I feel comfortable actually saying that. So I've got them kind of right below at 5 here, right in the middle between you two.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have them like dead last on my list. I just kind of had them more middle, just for those reasons. All right.
In full disclosure, where I came from that is the mindset of Kevin Stefanski versus Todd Monken, and why this will be the strength. And that's kind of, I did it more from a where will they be at the end of the season and where we'll grade them, at the end of the season. I think the strength will be there in this running back room, and we'll be like, okay, there it is. So that's where I came from.
You were factoring in Michael Burton fullback.
Exactly.
Yeah, but here's the thing: the fullback is back. Like that's another real thing. I mean, like let's be completely transparent. That only helps the running back position, right? So, yeah. I mean, and Todd Monken's not shy about we're going to run the ball down your throat. Like that's until you make us not. So, I'm all for it. And I mean, look what he did with Derrick Henry in Baltimore. I mean, look at that offense. I mean, that's insane.
Well, I mean, yes, but Derrick Henry's also Derrick Henry.
Right. But I'm saying to still be Derrick Henry at that age and playing at such a high level. I mean, that's a pretty incredible thing.
Right. I think we're both making like the same point. Yes, Todd Monken got the most out of him, but also Derrick Henry is just.
And that's where, just side note, that's where I think Dylan Sampson wasn't utilized last year, and I think he's going to be more utilized this year and get quite a bit more yards. I truly believe we're going to see that. That's why
I would agree. I think just for the sake of this conversation, the offense is going to be vastly different than what we saw last year. From top to bottom, start to finish, everything from receivers, tight ends, offensive line, run game, everything about this is going to be different. And I would agree with that. So, David, where are you going next? Like, what's your next position group here?
So for me, confidence level, I'm going back on defense and it's linebackers. Even though there's been some departures in the offseason and it's a little bit of a different looking room this year. You got the returning defensive rookie of the year and someone who just was an absolute beast playing on high ankle sprain and a quad contusion, just not coming off the field. And I think that he carries that room. And when you play a base defense where you really only are doing truly 2 linebackers and you're playing more of a nickel style defense, I think that the depth isn't as big of a problem for them. They're not playing 3 linebackers every single down, and so they're not kind of hurting for that third linebacker. So between Quincy Williams, Carson, and then Winston Reed, and then you add in Justin Jefferson or EMA as they say, I think the linebacker room is going to be very solid, and just top to bottom the defense is I think still returning the best, one of the best overall units in the league.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you. I think this is valid. Are you worried about the depth after the starters? The answer is yes, of course. Totally. But I have so much faith in the starters. I think you absolutely have to give credit to Carson, and also I'm excited to see the relationship with Quincy Williams that he has with Mike Rutenberg. Mike came out and explained that relationship. They've got history there in a good way. But I do see what you're saying about the depth there. But I will say I put them kind of in the middle of my position group ranking. One, just because I feel, even though that there is concern with injury, with depth and all of that, I still feel better about it than I do some other offensive positions. So that's why I kind of put them there in the middle. But I can see the worry there. What do you think, Dustin?
So, yeah, I didn't have linebackers here either for the next position group. I actually had the wide receivers, if you can believe it. flipping the script from 2025 to 2026, there are now people on this team that were QB or wide receiver one that could be odd man out. And so that's why I looked at the depth of the wide receiver room and said, okay, now I am excited what I see in the wide receiver room. And boy, oh boy, I got height, I got speed, I got all of it. All the things I wished for last year that never saw the field now is in that room. And competition, we know, breeds really good groups. And so I put the wide receivers here just because of how much we valued and put into the draft and what we already had on the roster. And now there is all those guys that basically were starters last year are depth guys now. So it's a very interesting room. And I think I'm excited when training camps and I get out there in a couple of weeks. That's one of the groups I'm excited to see those guys gel and see where they go.
Agree. I have them here in the same spot. The reason I don't have them higher is honestly just because they're so young and we need to see what we have. But I don't question the talent. I love that we've kind of completely revamped that entire room. I mean, you're right, Dustin. Some guys that were competing, for that top receiver spot last year might be a fringe player this year. Do they even make the team? Which is kind of a crazy thought. And that's what I mean when we say like this entire offense is probably going to look vastly different. And I think that's a good thing. But yeah, I'm going to put receivers here as well. I think you feel a lot better about it. I still think that, obviously you've got two rookies there. You want to see what you have before saying, oh, I'm going to put them at, 1, 2, or 3. But I feel better about this room than I did certainly a year ago. David, where do you fall here?
Yeah, I have them right in the same grouping as you guys. And the more, just even now, the more we talk about and think about it, the more I'm certainly excited about it, and I'm keeping them up because I had them kind of, if we're grouping it into thirds, in my bottom third at first. But I don't, kind of like what you just said, Ali, in terms of like the youth, like especially wide receiver, like don't be afraid of youth. We see all the time young wide receivers pop up out of nowhere and have excellent seasons. I mean, JSN in his third year led the league and was offensive player of the year. And we look at, Emeka Ibuka, who had such a good first half of his season, how great of a season Tet had. I mean, young receivers wide receiver is a position where you can be young and make a huge impact right away. Just because of route running ability and catching ability. And just if you're good in the open field, like KC is, should be, then you can make a big difference. And so those are more, the traits that they need are more intangibles that just you have it or you don't. You either run good routes or you don't. Coming out of college, you either catch the ball at the high point or you don't. And so the youth doesn't scare me. And now that there is like some really good competition and also chemistry in that room, just from what we're hearing from, earlier in minicamp, and now, they're, probably doing catching and receiving drills in the summer together. I'm excited about it, and I think that there is a lot of good upside. And by the end of the season, we may be creeping them into the top 3 in terms of our position groups.
So next up on my list, and we're kind of knocking on the door here of like the bottom tier, is offensive line for me. I'm just going to do the entire offensive line as a whole. Now, for that exact same reason, totally revamped the room. Can you rely on youth in that room? And I think you have to, right? You don't have the luxury of not doing that right now. They've completely revamped this room. I have a really good feeling about Spencer Fano. I really like his versatility on the offensive line. Now, I still think that there are some question marks on where these guys are going to play. Does Parker Brailsford start at center? Do you move Elton Jenkins into guard? What about Tevin Jenkins? There are questions here. But from a talent perspective, I feel substantially better about where we were a year ago. I think last year they're dead last. It was atrocious, terrible, but totally revamping the room. You've got a pretty good offensive line coach. There's reason to be optimistic about it. Now, I'm not comfortable putting them into the top tier, but I have them ahead of a couple of other position groups. This is where I'm going to go, offensive line. What do you guys think?
Yeah, for me, I have them in this same kind of beginning to the bottom tier. And one thing stands out to me from the times we've had Joe Thomas on the show, and he will say how long it takes an offensive line to gel, to develop. Yeah. And we basically just rebuilt the whole entire offensive line in the offseason. So this unit is going to take time to gel. It's going to take time to develop. You've got rookies on there, even though we drafted our first pick on a great possible new tackle. This, unfortunately or unfortunately, it's going to take time to get these guys in sync, and they probably won't be into their stretch. So we know, and Joe Thomas said it till midseason. They're kind of, by midseason are in their spot. And that's why I put them at a weakness here, just because we know this is going to take time for this to develop and turn into the players that we want them to be.
Yeah. Yep.
Totally agree. I mean, what I like about I'm looking at the depth chart right now. I've got the Our Lads one pulled up, and I like it because it's color coded, and it gives you different like looks at like, blue is people who were on the team last year, purple is rookie draft picks, orange is new acquisition via trade or free agency. Offensive line, 4 out of 5 of those are not blue, meaning 4 out of the 5 were not on this roster last season. And so I think that speaks directly to your point, Dustin, about the chemistry behind it and the communication that it takes. I mean, this is think about it this way. This is 5 big burly men trying to synchronize swim on the offensive line. You know what I mean? Like they are working together in tandem to create this beautiful flow of offensive pass and run protection. And like that is not easy to do. And I mean, we know they're not twinkle toes. And so I think that the talent is there. Like you said, Allie, I'm really excited about it. And I think we might see some pretty rough games to begin with, but I think by the end of the season, we're going to be really happy with what we got.
As long as it's a little bit better than last year.
I know all too well, and I don't think Allie knows this, but I thought I could go play football in high school, and it didn't work out so well. But 210 pounds at an offensive line doesn't work, and I ended up being the football manager of the team. So that's my story. But I was the best football manager. Let me tell you. I almost went into athletic training. Like that was a path. And I don't know, Allie, if I've ever shared this story with you. I loved Boise State so much that I had a full ride scholarship to Idaho State University for athletic training and turned it down. Like that's a real story because I loved Boise State. The coach was like, they're all gone. I don't have anything for Boise State. I was like, well, yeah, but I want to go here. And he's like, but Idaho State's offering you a full ride for athletic training. Didn't take it, but yeah. So,
hey, everything happens for a reason, right? All right, a couple to go here. In my second to last spot, this is where I put tight end, actually. I think, actually, this is the one position group where maybe a year ago, you have them really close to the top with Harold Fannin Jr., David Njoku. Obviously, that's completely changed. You still have Harold Fannin Jr., who is such a bright spot for this offense, and really expect him to have a big year. Big second year. But then outside of that, that's where it gets kind of interesting in terms of depth. I mean, depth chart here, second on the depth chart, you've got Jack Stoll, Joe Royer, Blake Whiteheart. That's where there's some concern, I think. If something, God forbid, were to happen to Harold Fannin, you're in a pickle. That's going to be a drop off.
A lot of unproven guys.
Yeah. What do you guys think?
That's where I had that, just because of pure depth. Like Harold Fannin is the man, we know that. But then after Harold Fannin, who is the man?
So it sounds like we all have the same for last, and that is quarterback.
Are we doing special teams? Where did you guys?
I didn't include special teams. If you'd like to, we could insert them here. Yeah. But I still think that quarterback would probably still be last for me. And that's just because there are so many unknowns here, right? There are so many unknowns. One, who's going to be the starting quarterback? We don't have the answer to that yet. Is it Deshaun Watson? Is it Shedeur Sanders? What are they going to do? I think we all have our preferences, but in terms of who is going to be a consistent starter this year, guys, I don't know what to tell you. This is my least confident group for several different reasons, from talent, from injury, from everything. You can throw it out there. I don't know. I think that the quarterback of the future could be on this roster, but we don't know that. We don't know that for certain. So for that reason, I've got him last. What do you guys think?
I will say this could be last for 18 out of the last 26 years of Cleveland Browns football, other than a few years with Tim Couch, a Derek Anderson miracle year, and 3 years of Baker Mayfield. This would be the weakness on the Cleveland Browns football team for better almost a quarter century.
Crazy, by the way. True.
Totally agree.
By the way, we're Comedy Hour too for you folks too. You get the Browns and Comedy Hour.
There you go. We do what we can for the people. All right, that rounds it out. I think we were pretty similar for most of it. Nothing egregious there. Before we move on here, just want to tell you about our friends over at We Bleed Ohio Apparel. Guys, if you need your official Here We Go Brownies podcast hat, t-shirt, sweatshirt, they can do it there over at We Bleed Ohio Apparel. Or, of course, if you want maybe some baseball, football, basketball designs, they can do that there for you as well. So please be sure to check out our friends over at We Bleed Ohio. So let's move on. I've got another segment here, and it's called Real Money Bets, Tail or Fade. Obviously, if you know anything about me, I like to gamble a little bit. So I've got some. We'll just go rapid fire here. So I've got some bets I'm going to throw at you. Basically, would you put your money on it? Yes or no? Dustin,
$100.
your money, $100 of Dustin's money or $100 of David's money. Are you putting it on this? Yes or no? So we'll start with the first one here. Are you putting money on this? Quinshon Judkins over 900.5 rushing yards. Now, for context, last year he had 827, but of course went out with an injury. You putting money on this? Yes or no?
950 and so 951 and above, right? Is that where we're at?
900 rushing yards.
Oh, so 901 and above. I thought you said 9.5. Sorry. So 901. Give me $100 at whatever betting app. Yes.
Yeah, I'm taking this. Oh, I'm taking this one all day because last year 827 and again hurt. And what we think that the Browns are going to do offensively this year, and what Todd Monken wants to do, they are going to establish the run. Quinshon Judkins, if you can take him in fantasy, I would. I think he's going to be pretty productive. I think he's going to at least 900.5 yards, but I would bet on 1,000 if we're being honest.
Yeah, as I say, I would put a double bet down for another 100 for 1,000 or more to see if I could clean up a little bit. Do 900.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, David, what do you think? Same thing? Agree?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he did all that in 14 games last year as a rookie, and kind of got off to a rocky start with just his contract and the legal situation. And so, I think he eclipses this easily. We're not going to see like a two running back system. This isn't going to be Quinshon Travion from Ohio State his final year. This is going to be Quinshon bell cow, and he's going to get this.
Yeah. So keeping it on Quinshon, Quinshon rushing touchdowns over 7.5. For context, last year he had 7. Are you taking this?
I'm putting 200 on this.
Yeah, totally. Agree.
I'm putting two Benzos, 8 and above. Yeah,
Yep. I know. So I read that and I'm like, that's silly. I'd put so much
now
money.
10 or more. Now you're dancing with something there. Yeah. But yeah, eight or more. I mean, basically you're saying he's scoring a touchdown every other game. I mean,
Yep.
All right. We'll keep it with the Browns, and I've got a couple of NFL ones as well. But Harold Fannin Jr., over 700.5 receiving yards. Yes or no? Are you taking it? For context, last year, yes, he had 731. Did I write this down wrong? Let's do 800.5. That seems low. I think I wrote that down wrong. So let's say Harold Fannin, 800.5.
800.
So actually, here's the thing. Because the Browns had shitty offense last year, Harold Fannin had to do a lot of work. I'm just going to call it for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I love Harold Fannin. And in fact, I've gotten to know him on a personal level. He's a great guy. But because of the addition of our great wide receiver room, I do think it would be the under in this bet for $100 because I think you're going to see a more diverse offense from Todd Monken because of all the investments we made in the wide receiver room. So I'd actually go under this.
All right. Dustin's not making that bet. David, what do you think?
Yeah, I think those are all very compelling reasons, and I actually agree with you. I am not taking that bet. If anything, I would put it on the under, but I don't like betting unders for players that we cheer for. But I mean, just I guess, and kind of shaping this in the context. I mean, you're exactly right, Dustin. Like thinking about he had a great season last year, but he was kind of at one point the only option receiving the ball. And so, if you look at, let's just say, Mark Andrews receiving yards over the last 4 seasons. 422, 673, 544, 847. Only one time did he eclipse 800 yards. And that's an established, pretty well-known title in a Todd Monken offense. And so I think because of the additional weapons, the emphasis on the run game and distributing the ball a little bit more, I don't know if he's going to reach the same numbers that he did last year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and those 800 and some yards that Andrews had, it'd be interesting to see what kind of injuries were in the wide receiver room that year. Was there a reason he went over 800 yards? Because those other years he was in that 500 to 600 yard range.
So let's play this game then. Instead of which is it Harold Fannin? Is it Jerry Jeudy? Which receiver can have the most receiving yards? Is there a pass catcher for this Browns team next year that eclipses 1,000 receiving yards? And I'm kind of wanting to say no based on what we just discussed, right? The ball is going to have to be distributed, whether it's Jerry Jeudy, Harold Fannin Jr., the running backs, obviously the rookie receivers. There's more talent available.
Wow, that's probably the toughest question you've asked in this whole thing, because that's tough, right? Because Boston's going to get the ball, KC's going to get the ball. Jerry Jeudy may get the ball, obviously. Isaiah Bond, I think, could have a breakout season. I'm going to say no. I think you could have a bunch of guys in the 600 to 800 yard range on this football team.
David, what do you think? I think I agree with Dustin here that I'm not gonna put money on that one.
I love this question. I think this is awesome. This is live podcasting at its best, where we just shifted a little bit based on what we're seeing. But I'm with you completely. I don't think we're going to see a 1,000-yard receiver. I think we're going to see a 1,000-yard rusher, but not a receiver. Yeah. And so, Jerry Jeudy has had with the Browns, and I think in his entire career, one 1,000-yard season in 2024. I just love pulling up stats on the fly here. So if we look at that 2024 Browns team, Jerry Jeudy had 1,200 receiving yards, and then we had Elijah Moore with 500, David Njoku with 500, Jordan Akins with 390. Jerome Ford with 225, Cedric Tillman with 339, and Amari Cooper with 250. And obviously there was some, there's a trade there with Amari Cooper and everything else. But regardless, that is not a large distribution. Jerry Jeudy was kind of the receiving offense there, but I think this year, like we said, there's more weapons to fly around. And so I don't think there's going to be a 1,000-yard receiver this year.
Well, and full disclosure, Jerry Jeudy got like 300 of those flipping yards in the Denver game. Like,
that's true.
So we watched. This is crazy. We watched that game in the Denver airport. Do you remember that, Ellie?
Yeah, I do remember that. That was nuts. That was a crazy time to watch that game. I don't remember where we were going, but yes, we watched that in the Denver airport. All right, next up here, and this is more just NFL broad rather than just Browns here, but Aaron Donald, with the addition of Myles Garrett to the Rams, does Aaron Donald come out of retirement? Are you putting 100 of your own dollars on that bet that he plays in 2026?
You want me to start? I'll start. No. Just follow his wife's Instagram. No, he's not coming out of retirement. Put $100, maybe 200 on that. Although it sounds great in its form, I think Myles Garrett's better than Aaron Donald was when he left. So, yeah, I think he's not coming out of retirement.
I agree. I don't think so either. I'm not putting money on that, David.
That is not worth my money. Nope.
All right. And then speaking of Myles Garrett, I had this one written down for a while. So, obviously pardon the fact that he's no longer with the team, but obviously still the best to do it in the league. Myles Garrett, sack leader, back-to-back. Does he do it again this year? You putting money on it? Does he outdo himself?
I'm gonna go no, and I'll tell you why. Just because he's in a different league in the NFC this year versus the AFC, and I use that in the transition to a new league, and there might be some adjustments because let's be completely transparent. Myles Garrett owned the AFC North when it came to like Joe Burrow and some of these guys. Like he knew how to go after him. He knew how to sack those guys. He had those guys figured out. And I think there will be a tiny bit of learning curve in for that. I think he'll have a lot of sacks this year, but he will not eclipse. You're saying eclipse this year, right?
Yeah. Beat his
No. I mean, he broke the sack record, and he was on the edge to the very last 6 minutes of a football game to break the sack record. No, I think he'll have 20-some sacks, yes, but I don't think he breaks it.
Yeah. I want to highlight this. This is such a good point. Yeah, he may not be playing as much. The Rams are a better team. If he doesn't need to be out there, he may not be, especially knowing his injury history. So I'm going to say no. I think it's possible if the question were, does he win Defensive Player of the Year again? Yes, I'd probably be more willing to say that. But to break his own record, no, I don't think I want to put money on that just because we saw how much of a struggle it was. All right, we'll finish with this one before we move on. You putting money on this. A rookie quarterback starts week 1 for at least 3 teams.
3 teams. Okay. I'm just trying to think how many rookies could be starting. There's Mendoza, and then who else? Like
Carson Beck.
Carson.
I mean,
which team's Carson with again?
and he's with the Cardinals.
I think Jacoby Brissett wins that job.
Well, yes, I agree, but the whole contract situation there's a little funky. But you have to consider him.
I think they'll figure that out.
I'm going to say no. I don't think so. I think I do think it's possible that Carson Beck could get the start, just based on that weird, funky situation. But other than that, I mean, I'm not saying like Drew Aller's going to start. Cade Klubnik's not starting. I'm not going to. No, I'm not saying that.
Simpson's not starting.
No.
Taylor Green isn't starting.
No, I know. I don't like that one. So absolutely not.
David, don't say that because you just never know.
That's true. Maybe
I'm
that's the wild card right there.
7:50 in July. David's like, Taylor Green's never going to start.
Not week one. Not week one. That would be if
That's
Taylor
my boy.
Green.
By the way, that's my boy. If that guy like that, I think that guy's got a real football future if he can figure out his mechanics, because he is a freak of an athlete. I mean, if he can, like that guy's the real deal if he can figure out his mechanics. Like he's going to be, like I could see him being the backup, and two quarterbacks that are currently on our roster are no longer here. That's how good I think he is. So
We'll see.
You know,
All right, guys. Oh, nope. David, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, you know who's a freak of an athlete? That girl right there, right above me.
You're pointing at Dustin.
Wait, I'm pointing at you on my screen.
Oh, you're pointing at Dustin on my screen.
you're putting the Dustin on my screen as well.
You did something weird.
iPad. It's the iPad.
I'm like, David is pointing something to me and goes, that's the freak.
He said that girl. Oh my goodness.
Live podcast, everybody.
Live podcast. Guys, we want to tell you about our friends over at City Barbecue. If you're wondering what you should have for lunch or dinner, it's City Barbecue. They can also cater your events. If you've got something coming up, maybe a birthday party, a corporate event, a shower, wedding, they can do it. Got award-winning sauces, sides, meats. And by the way, they are great people to work with. They'll cut you a deal, so please be sure to check out our friends over at City Barbecue. All right, let's give our way too early NFL predictions. And, we won't get into like offensive lineman of the year or some of those kind of crazy ones. Let's just kind of keep it fairly broad. We're going to do MVP, offensive player of the year, defensive player of the year, defensive rookie, and offensive rookie, and then just comeback player of the year. So let's kick it off here, and we'll go rapid fire, guys. We're kind of up against it here. So let's start with MVP. David, I'll turn it over to you. Who is winning MVP in your eyes?
So I know the podcast listeners aren't going to like this, but I'm going Joe Burrow. I think he's got a real shot this year after the way he finished. They definitely reinforced the defense, and so if they can win more games, he is much more easily in that conversation. I mean, his numbers were outstanding last season alone. So I think Joe's got a real chance this year, and then maybe we just see Buckeye Joe turning around. I'm just kidding; he's not a Buckeye.
Listen, I see what you're saying about Joe. He did have, statistically, he was great at the end of the season, and their defense was just so atrocious that they weren't in a position, or he wasn't in a position to win that award. I just don't think that carries over into this year. I don't know why. I just have this feeling. I think actually my prediction is that Zach Taylor is fired after this season, if not mid-season. I think he's a bad coach, and he's not getting the most out of Joe Burrow offensively, and what should be is an elite offense with those two receivers and running back. So because of that, I'm it could happen, yes, but I'm going to go with, maybe this is like kind of a safe bet. Maybe not. He was in the running last year, but I'm going to go with Drake May with the addition of AJ Brown to his team. Obviously made it to the Super Bowl last year. I think that there's a possibility that he has like a third-year slump that could happen, but they got better this offseason. I'm going to go with Drake May as my MVP. What do you think, Dustin?
So I'm going to pull a wild card here, and I'm going to make a prediction of way too early.
Right.
And I think
Name of the game.
Here it is. The most valuable player, Josh Allen, is going to be the most valuable player in the National Football League, and the Bills are going to win the Super Bowl this year.
Okay. I was wondering where the bold prediction was coming. So I'm like, he might be the betting favorite.
Actually, he is.
Oh, is he? Oh, I'm just saying, like, is he really?
Yeah. He's the current betting favorite.
No, but I'm going. Josh Allen's been knocking on the door so many times, and he has literally taken the team on his back, aka like LeBron James has done with basketball teams. I think Josh Allen takes the Buffalo Bills into the Super Bowl. I really do. I think this is kind of that crescendo for the Bills that have been 4 years when they didn't make it, and now they're back. I think this is the Buffalo Bills here.
I'm going to take it a step further. If they don't win the Super Bowl this year, I don't think they do. I think this is
their window is closing. I agree.
Yeah, this is the time. So they need to do it. And frankly, I think they need to make some offensive moves. They need another receiver. They've got Khalil Shakir, who's good, but they need depth there. They need another guy. So
right there.
All right. Next up here, let's go offensive player of the year. Dustin, we'll start with you.
Back to your point about Drake May and the explosiveness of what I'm going to go AJ Brown here.
Okay.
I think AJ Brown could, being in that offense now with Drake May, could have, he bitched and moaned about not getting the ball and not getting to be a playmaker. I think they're going to really make him a focal point of this offense. And it's going to, quite honestly, I hate to say it, but make the Patriots very dangerous. And I think he's going to be your offensive player of the year.
All right. I like that. That's not bad. I'm going to go with Jahmyr Gibbs, offensive player of the year. He's just going to have so many opportunities, right? So much production without David Montgomery there. He's the number one guy, and I think he's so explosive with what he can do out of the backfield, catching the ball between the tackles. He's awesome. He's my offensive player of the year. What do you think, David?
So Dustin, that's a great little sleeper pick there. He's like 17th right now on the betting odds. I like that. I didn't consider that. Initially I was going to go Gibbs with you, but I'm going to go Bijan here. I kind of made fun of it when we were talking about this earlier, saying like, oh yeah, that was Kevin. But actually, I mean, they're probably going to lean on him pretty heavily with that offense that they have. And I mean, he showed last year he has the durability to do it. So I think Bijan has another excellent year and is going to be kind of the top candidate for that.
All right. I think it's possible. Defensive player of the year. I'm actually going to go. I'm not going to take Miles here. I'm actually going to go with Will Anderson Jr. I think that he takes a step up. And I mean, frankly, if it wasn't Miles last year, it probably would have been Will. I don't know if you've seen pictures of him this offseason, but he is an absolute and utter freak. Give me Will Anderson Jr., defensive player of the year. Houston's defense is insane. They got better. That's what I would put money on right here, right now. What do you guys think?
I had Will as well.
Yeah.
Back to my point where I don't think Miles gets to that point with his sacks this year, and Will just squeaks out here in that situation.
Yeah. David?
I'm going to keep it in Cleveland and Jared Verse getting it.
Oh.
Did not see that coming.
I mean, sign me up for that. But that would be something. I think that would be such a great story, for the Browns to
cool.
do that. But also have the defensive player of the year again. And then, obviously last year you had Carson, even defensive rookie of the year. That'd be awesome. 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 All right, let's turn over to the rookies. Let's start with offensive rookie of the year. David, we'll start with you.
I'm going to go with Carnell Tate. I think that he is a massive, massive weapon. He's got the best hands out of this wide receiver class and some of the best in the league immediately. And I think he gives Cam Ward a great option. And with a full offseason to work together, I think he's going to be his favorite target and he's going to be a weapon, just continuing the Ohio State wide receiver tradition of excellence.
Yeah. All right. Dustin?
I'm going to go not do the Ohio State route because I think he was a little drafted too high. I'm going with our hometown, KC Concepcion, because he's on a team that he's hidden and they aren't going to realize he's going to exploit teams. And I think they'll figure him out after a few weeks, but I think Casey's going to come onto the scene because speed kills and he's going to be explosive with this football team. And I'm excited for KC Concepcion to see what he can do with this offense under Todd Monken.
Yeah, that'd be a fun pick. I mean, also that would be a good story, right? To have another award winner. For me, I'm just going to go Fernando Mendoza. That might be kind of a safe pick, but I think he brings stability to an organization that needed it, and with some of the weapons around him, I think set him up for some success. And then we'll round out. Oh, I'm sorry. We've got defensive rookie of the year. I'll kick us off. I've got Caleb Downs. Guys, I know there's plenty to choose from, and I don't think you can go wrong with any of them. I just have a good feeling about Caleb Downs in the Cowboys defense, what they want to do. So I'm going to go with Caleb Downs here. Dustin?
I had Caleb Downs. I think he could have been – I mean, if let's be I mean, if Mendoza wasn't there, he could have been a top, like he could have been one of the best picks in this last draft. I mean, he's an all-around great player, and I think he's going to do great things for the Cowboys. I mean, that was a really good pick for the Cowboys. So
yeah, David.
I am going with Sonny Styles, another homer pick there, but I believe in him just as much as a pure, just thoroughbred linebacker, and that would make 2 linebackers in a row winning Defensive Rookie of the Year between Carson last year and Sonny this year.
Linebackers are so back. And then we'll round it out here with Comeback Player of the Year. Actually, Dustin, let's start with you here.
Comeback Player of the Year. Well, can I pick Joe Burrow? Would he be in that since he was injured?
I don't think was he injured enough last year to qualify? I'm not sure.
I don't know either if that's gonna.
I don't know
what the rules are.
Yeah, I don't know what the qualifications are, but I don't know if he missed enough time to be considered.
Yeah,
comeback. I could be wrong.
I'm just trying to think who else was out.
Here, while you think about it,
I mean, here's the obvious one. I mean, does Mahomes?
Yeah,
count?
yeah,
Okay.
I think so. I think
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would say Patrick Mahomes just because of who he is and what he is and of what happened last year and obviously coming back. Yeah. I would say Patrick Mahomes would probably be the early favorite, but I mean, Joe Burrow could be in that conversation if he's allowed based on how long he was out.
I'm going Mahomes here as well. I think he's kind of the obvious one. Comes back to a good situation. We know the player that he is. So I'm taking Patrick Mahomes. David, what are you doing?
From Arizona to Minnesota, KOC, the anti-Grim Reaper for quarterbacks, he is reviving Kyler Murray's career. It's Kyler Murray.
No. Oh, man. This podcast will go for another 20 minutes. I hate Kyler Murray. He is too small. He should not play in the National Football League. He should have went to the Yankees. Done. Get him out of here. He's garbage. He's trash. Kyler Murray is trash, and I will say it all day long. It's trash.
I can see it though. I mean, I get the point, right? With Kevin O'Connell. I mean, he's got such a good reputation with reviving careers. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen this year. Otherwise, there's no shot, and he should go play baseball. I'm with you, Dustin. But he's got a great opportunity there in Minnesota. He's winning that quarterback battle. There's no way that JJ is beating him. I mean, there's simply no way. And also, if you're, I would consider taking Justin Jefferson this year in fantasy. I avoided him last year because I did not believe in JJ McCarthy, and I'm glad that I did not take him. But I think this year, Kyler has something to prove. He's got a great quarterback guru kind of in Kevin O'Connell and some weapons. So I don't hate that. I think that's kind of maybe a sleeper pick. I don't know where he falls on the odds, but I think it's not terrible.
I kind of agree with George here. Like those defenses in the NFC North, that's not gonna be good for you.
Oh, listen, I'm not saying that they're going to be a good team. I'm just saying from a fantasy perspective, I would consider Justin Jefferson.
All I know is I saw a playoff game and Kyler Murray literally got destroyed in that game. I mean, it was bad for him. It was like really bad. Like, and I was like, that's it. Like,
yeah. All right. Well, there you guys have it. There you go. Any closing thoughts here as we wrap up?
Maybe by next Wednesday show, we might have a new player to talk about with the Cavs or not. But I think by next Wednesday, things should have shook out and we should know one way or the other. So,
all right. With that, guys, we are done. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate it. Stay safe, stay healthy. And as always, Browns fans, go Browns.